I was asked recently if I could do a video on how I treat my water. So I'm going to tell you what I do, but obviously what I do isn't what you should do. What you should do is you should filter your water first through one of those, then filter it through one of those, then sterilise it with one of these, then purify it with Aqua Mira, and then boil it until it's completely and utterly dead. Then that way, if you do what I do and you get unwell, you can't blame me. If you are looking for some books, Chris Townsend's The Backpacker's Handbook is very good for helping with water. Mike Clelland's Ultralight Backpacking Tips and Andrew Skirker's The Ultimate Hiker's Gear Guide. All three of those books give good advice and information on water treatment, and all three have one thing in common, and all three on occasions, some probably more often than others, but all three on occasions do not treat their water when they're out and about. But we'll come on to that later. But as I say, that's what they do and that's not what you should necessarily do. So those three books I recommend. So that's enough of the lawyer talk. When I started walking a long time ago, the first thing that I bought, because I thought that it was really needed, was the MSR pump water filter, and I have to say it's a good piece of kit. It's not too difficult to clean because you can break it down, the cartridge comes out, so it's it's a pretty good piece of kit. But personally, I've taken it on a day hike probably about 6 years ago or something like that, and I took it on holiday with me once. But would I want to take it backpacking or even on a day hike? No. It's too heavy, too bulky, and frankly and obviously also once it's filled up with water, it's going to get even heavier as well. Let's just weigh it for the fun of it. Right, so that weighs 500 grams. over 17.5 ounces, or over a pound. So yeah, that by itself weighs 500 grams. And as I say, once you've got water in there, even trying to pump it out, it's going to get a hell of a lot heavier than that. So I certainly wouldn't use that for backpacking. Although I did once on one video see someone, I think it was on the Pacific Crest Trail, they were out on a section and they dangled the nozzle down some deep well because they couldn't get to some water or something. So, it obviously proved useful there. So I'm sure it has uses in some situations, but for my type of backpacking, anywhere in the UK, and probably 95% of places in the US, probably 99% of the US, mind you, I've never walked there, so I can hardly really comment on that. But certainly what I've done and seen in the UK, I cannot see that you really need that. I recently picked up the Sawyer squeeze filter. This is almost an unboxing video because I have taken it out once, but I must admit I've not used it or anything like that. Now, I've just added these couple of things in here. If the water is really turgid and mucky, then whatever filter you use, whether it's something like that or that, if it's really mucky, then you really should be straining the water out before you stick it through something like that. So a bug net or a bug head net could certainly be used. Just checking we're still recording. So you could, strain some water through that, or I know some people use buffs, and somehow, I don't know quite how you would do it, but anyway, I know some people strain water through that, through a buff. Now, the way I see it, and again, I don't have the experience of many people, so please remember that. I'm just saying from what I've done, not from an expert's point of view, and I'm not even pretending to be an expert because I'm not. But my thought is, once I've sort of strained, in inverted commas, water through that, do I even need to filter it through something like a Sawyer squeeze? Because at the moment, I must admit, I'm still plenty happy enough with Aqua Mira. But I know some people do want to filter it, so I'll show you this. Now I know these are very, very popular, so I think we can take it as read that these are good, the Sawyer squeeze. In this package, in this box here, came the filter itself plus one 1 litre filter pouch, and then I also picked up some spare 1 litre pouches. I think there's 3 in there, and some 2 litre pouches, and I think there's 2 2-litre pouches in this one. Now, how the pouches work, now bearing in mind I've never actually used this, but I believe what you do is you put your dirty water into this, and once this is filled up with water, you screw it on to the bottom or top of the filter, and then you can't hang it because there's nothing to hang it with, but I believe the idea is that you just gently roll the pouch slowly so you don't damage it down here, and that's why it's called a squeeze. And then you slowly, am I in the picture? I think so. So you slowly squeeze the water out the other end. Now, I haven't quite figured out what you do with it once it's come out the other end. I suppose the obvious thing is that you squeeze it into a water container like that. I'm just using this just for ease. The other thing is, of course, it does have a dropper end on it, so you could just drink straight from that. I think one of the most important things to remember with any filter, whether it's one of these heavy ones or this, is to keep the nozzle that the clean water comes out of clean, because if that gets dirty, it's almost pointless filtering the water because you're going to get contamination from that. So don't let that, so if you're filtering water, don't let that dangle in the dirt and muck and all that sort of thing, because that's completely and utterly pointless. And that could very well be where a lot of people get sick, is because they are using filters and they're letting their filters get dirty where water comes out. So that is something to be very, very cautious of. keep the ends of the filters clean. This filter, as I understand it, removes 99% of anything and everything that will make you unwell or potentially unwell. I believe the only thing that it does not remove, which is the same for this, are viruses. So if you're concerned about viruses, then you still need something like this or something like Aqua Mira. This is the SteriPen. Again, as I understand it, viruses are few and far between, if virtually non-existent, in our water. Be a bit careful what I'm saying here, but as far as I understand it, viruses are not really a problem. Again, if you go down with a virus, don't blame me, you should have used this or this. Sorry if it's being a bit... you know what I mean. So that's that filter. And to keep this filter clean, it's supplied with a medicine grade syringe, and the syringe, I'm not going to open the syringe because obviously it's clean, but the syringe screws or goes into the base here. Actually, it's probably going to go in this. Actually, no, I'm thinking the syringe is going to go in the top here. You'll have to read the instructions. I haven't read the instructions properly. The syringe is going to have to go in the top there. The syringe will go into the out with clean water to back flush the water back out the other way to clean that. So I think that's how that works. And again, you get all the instructions. So if you are looking for a filter to filter your water, then the Sawyer squeeze does seem to be the current favourite thing to be using. I have heard that these pouches can fail on occasion, and obviously if you're relying on this and you only have one pouch, then you could be, and that's probably because people are squishing it too tight and breaking it, in all honesty. But it is certainly worth getting spare pouches to use, you know, just to take as an emergency with that. And I will use this sometime or other. It's just I'm not quite sure when at the moment. Probably if I was taking water from a cattle trough or something like that, I might take it around Cheddar with me sometime and have a play with it. But as I say, I've not used it, so that's just a bit of information on that. So as I say, after I've had a chance to use that a couple of times, I'll report back on it. The SteriPen is a sterilizer, and of course that will kill everything. And this works by, you do need an Nalgene bottle because you need to have a wide top. You can't use the platypus type bottles, they don't recommend that. So you do need a wide mouthed top, like an Nalgene, that this will fit in. But you can also use a camping cup, anything that will drop into. And the idea, again, I'm not going to bother turning it on, so excuse me cheating a bit there, but the idea is you fill up the water, you press the button on the side once or twice, depending on whether it's half a litre or 1 litre, and then you put that in and you jiggle it around, and there'll be a green light here, and when the green light comes on, you know that the water is then safe to drink. And I must admit, I've used that quite a few times around Cheddar from water that I've taken from a couple of small streams there, and I've not had any problems so far. with that. So, you know, the SteriPen, this is a SteriPen Adventure Opti, which eventually it's focused on. So that's that one, and it uses 2 batteries which you have to change to go in there. But I haven't worn the batteries out yet. So that's your other option, and that certainly is worth considering. I say that kills everything, including viruses. Right, this is what I do, and this is what I read in Mike McClellan's book. Right, before I come on to that, someone asked how I fill up these bottles. What I do is, obviously you have to take the top off, and then you have to pull the nozzle off, and when the nozzle is off with these, there's quite a wide mouth there, and this one has hand gel in, and that goes in very easily. The sun cream pot, which I put sun cream in there, I must admit sun cream is a little bit thicker, and well, there's a couple of things that you can do with this one. Again, you take the top off like that. What I was doing was squeezing this to get the air out of it. Imagine that's the sun cream pot, and this is now off, so remember this nozzle is off. Squeeze this a little bit, but not enough that everything comes shooting out. Squeeze your sun cream a little bit so that a little bit comes out, and then you let go of this, let this out, and in letting that out it'll suck some of the sun cream in. It's you need a lot of patience to do it, let's put it that way. The other way of doing it, because doing it that way you just do a tiddly bit at a time and you're not going to get much in there, to be honest. The other way is to get a syringe, pour the sun cream into a cup, draw the sun cream up into a syringe, and then try and syringe it in. And again, you will need quite a bit of patience to do that, but that's a couple of ways of doing that. And again, I've put Mozzigard in that one, and again the same with that. Now this is Aqua Mira, and as you can see, the date on that is October 2007, and I'm still using it. Again, you know, if you're using it, throw it away because it's obviously out of date. This is what I do. I have 2 small bottles, and I bought these from Ron in America, and I did buy some more small bottles from him, and when he shipped out those, he only sent 1 of these and 1 of these. Ron, if you're watching this, if people want to use this, they really need 2 of these and 1 of these. Otherwise you're a bit stuck if you've just got that. So spare, I've only got 2 of these now, so that's just one word of caution there. You do need 2 small bottles plus a third. Well, you don't, because you don't do it my way. You've got to follow the instructions on here. This is what I do. I pour A into A, and I pour B into B. And then when I'm out walking, I put, say, 10 or 15 or however many drops of each into this clear pot here. Now in Mike's book he recommends using a dark bottle like that. I prefer to use a light coloured bottle. One, I can see how much is in there, and two, I can check that it's still yellow, because my presumption, rightly or wrongly, is that when these are mixed up they turn yellow, and you can see the colour yellow in here when it's full up, of course, and it will stay yellow in my experience for at least a day or 2 days. And my understanding is, rightly or wrongly, that if it's yellow it's working, and when it's not yellow it's not working. Excuse that noise in the background, that's Gizzy playing. What are you doing? Hello? Come and play with the little bottles. Want to play with the bottles? Play with those. So what I do is then, as I say, I put, say, 10, the instructions say 7 drops of A and 7 drops of B, which of course equals 14 drops, to treat 1 litre of water. This is a half litre here, but to treat 1 litre of water. So technically speaking, they are saying 7 plus 7 is 14, and that treats a litre. So if you follow their instructions, or if I follow their instructions to treat 1 litre, I need to put 7 of each of those into here, which will then give me 14 drops in here to treat 1 litre of water. If I'm treating a litre of water, and of course I don't carry a litre bottle with me, it's usually 500 ml or about 700 ml, I'll invariably only put in 4 or 5 drops, which is less than half of what they're recommending, and I haven't died yet. Now, whether this is actually working, because I'm only using half the amount, this is now 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, this is now 6 years out of date. I'm presuming that it's still working, but I haven't got sick yet. Bearing in mind, again, I've just taken water from Dartmoor. Hello. So that's how I treat my water with Aqua Mira, and I don't use full strength, and I haven't died yet or got sick. The other way that of course you can treat water, Gizzy, my bottles are far more interesting over here than that cat. The other way that you can treat water, of course, is to boil it, and the recommended boiling time, and certainly if I was in Africa or any country like that, I would boil it fully for a minute at least. Dartmoor is not Africa or anywhere like that, and I must admit, when I boil water from Dartmoor, sometimes I will boil it completely. If I'm making a meal or something like that, I want it boiled. If I'm making a cup of tea or something like that, invariably I don't even bother letting it boil. I won't even put enough maths in for it to boil. So again, I'm drinking water that I haven't completely boiled. Now, you know, you can read into that whatever you like. Is the water perfectly fine to drink without treating, because I'm just putting so little in? Maybe it's not even having an effect. I'm not even boiling the water completely that I'm drinking on Dartmoor, and there are cattle about in places. So I don't know, but that's what I do, and I haven't suffered yet. So I hope that that's of some use and information to people. And if you've got any questions or queries, or if anyone else wants to tell us what they do, and particularly if anyone else does not treat their water. You know, that would be interesting. Apart from those 3 people in those books, you know, does anyone else regularly not treat their water, and their thoughts on that, and what water do they take and not treat? You know, do they take it from the highest streams away from civilizations, or do they take it just from rivers and drink it? You know, I'm quite interested and fascinated to know that. I'll just quickly add this in. So how I use the Aqua Mira and the drops is I'll be walking along, walking along like that, and I'll come to a stream. So that's your stream, that's your lake, and I'll dip my doodah in. So I have water in here. Hopefully it's pretty clear. Obviously if it had been particularly mucky, I probably would have strained it with that. I've never had to do that yet. So this is now full of water. This is half a litre. So bearing in mind, for 1 litre I would be using 14 drops. So for half a litre I'd only need 7 drops, because that's what they tell me to do. 7 drops, I would probably use half of that. I would probably put 3 drops or maximum 4 drops into that, and then I would do it up, shake it. I would just undo it ever so slightly. This is just a little tip. Just undo it ever so slightly, hold the top, give it a couple of tips like that, so that the treated water that's inside gets to the lip around there, because otherwise you've got untreated water around here. So your water inside could be clean, but you could have dirty water on the outside here. So by not doing it up and just doing that a couple of times, you're getting your treated water around the outside. Do it up, put it in my pack, wait 20 minutes, and then it's ready to drink. So again, with that, there are no delays whatsoever, and that is what I really like about this Aqua Mira mix. I don't have to stop to, you know, get water through even something like that. I don't have to stop for 20,000 years to pump water through that. It's quite literally stop, fill up the water bottle, 3 or 4 drops into this size bottle, shake it, in my pack, carry on, job done in just a couple of moments. It's so quick, and that's what I like with that. And just stand up right, just very quickly, again, when you're doing the steri pan, probably not a bad idea just to sort of drop it in a couple of times, not all the way, just to let some of the treated water come over the side, so that you're clearing any, you know, water that may contain something around the lip there. Right, we know that was over 500 grams. That's obviously in the pouch now with the cleaning thingy, and that now comes to 526 grams. The Sawyer filter is 71 grams, plus the water pouch, that's 100 grams. So immediately you've saved well over 400 grams between that and that. And of course, once this is filled up with water, that's going to weigh an absolute ton, whereas that I doubt is going to pick up an awful lot more weight in water. It'll probably go up a bit, obviously. So that's 100 grams, and the 1 litre pouch by itself is 28. So if you took a spare pouch, which probably would be a good idea, you'd be looking at about 130 grams all in. The steri pan, that's 102 grams. So weight for weight, not a lot in that. 102 grams. Obviously you might need spare batteries for that. If you do take the steri pan, well, if you take it in the pouch, it's 128 grams. If you do take the steri pan, then you really do have to take a wide-mouthed pot. That is important because it won't fit in anything else. And my Aqua Mira drops, right, well, bearing in mind there's no drops in it, of course. Well, actually there is. Let's just have a look. Right, that by itself, that's an empty pot, and that is 2 grams. So we know these pots are 2 grams. They're both filled up with A and B, so we know that the 2 pots are 4 grams. Filled up, and I know they're both filled up, is 6 grams. So we know that this system, which will last several days, is 12 grams. That's why I like Aqua Mira, because it's quick, it's easy, and it's incredibly light, and it's just reliable. If you want to take the 4 bottles with you and follow their instructions are, you take, let's just weigh it all together first, 56 grams. So even taking it like that, 56 grams as opposed to, you know, 100 grams or 500 grams. Their instructions, you take your pot, 7 drops of one, 7 drops of the other, wait 5 minutes, and then pour it in and wait another 20 minutes. I can't be asked to wait the 5 minutes, that's why I pre-mix it. But even those big bottles are still only 56 grams, bearing in mind there's quite a bit taken out, of course. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all again soon. Bye!